You wake beneath the weight of your own ambition. The air feels thick, almost solid, as if the walls are breathing with you. Before you stands an endless mirror, reflecting not your face, but 1,000 versions of it, each one desiring something different. Control, respect, immortality. Your hands tremble, not from fear, but recognition. You've been here before, in this sanctuary of those who want more. Voices slide through the glass, ancient echoes, emperors crowned with betrayal, saints wrapped in deceit. One whispers of calm mastery over the self. Another murmurs of the sweetness of mastering others. You hear prayers that sound like threats, and threats that sound like wisdom. What does it truly mean to be powerful? To conquer your demons, or to make others worship theirs? From between the reflections, a figure emerges, the Archivist. He doesn't speak in words, but in memories. He shows you two shadows locked in silent war, one still as stone, the other sharp as a blade. This isn't a lesson, he says. It's a trial. Stoicism and Machiavellianism, two paths to the same throne. But only one lets you sleep at night. The mirror begins to crack. Each fracture sings a broken promise. And as the glass splinters, you realize the next step is not to watch, but to choose which face you'll follow. From the broken mirror spills light, not pure but trembling, like something alive and afraid. It moves across your skin, and for a moment you feel it breathe. The fragments around you whisper one truth: all power begins in chaos. Before crowns and codes, before morality and order, there was only storm, and man's desperate attempt to command it. They say the first conquerors did not rule kingdoms. They ruled their own trembling hearts. Stoicism was born there, in the quiet after the thunder, when men learned that calm was not peace, but control. And in that same silence, a darker child was born, Machiavellianism, shaped not by calm, but by hunger disguised as wisdom. Both were born of pain. One sought harmony with the storm. The other sought to own it. The air grows ancient as you listen, like the breath of forgotten gods. You see them, men kneeling before fire, whispering bargains to the chaos that made them. The world learned to call this civilization, but beneath it something still claws to be free. The narrator's voice lowers closer now, almost touching your ear. But silence, he says, breeds hunger, and somewhere deep within, the first seed of corruption begins to stir. The Archivist's voice softens, and suddenly the chaos fades. You stand before a great fortress, vast, silent, immaculate. Its walls rise from your thoughts, carved from restraint, sealed with discipline. This is the Stoic mind, he says, a citadel built to outlast pain. And you, obedient to its creed, begin to lock every emotion away: grief, desire, fear. One by one they vanish behind the iron gates of control. At first it feels like victory. The storm's quiet, the heart slows. You call it peace. But in the stillness, something else begins to fade. The warmth that once colored your world, the trembling that made you human. You no longer bleed when others suffer. You no longer laugh when the light touches your face. The walls hold steady, but the garden within has turned to stone. The Archivist watches you from the shadows, his eyes unblinking. He knows what you do not, that peace can suffocate as surely as pain. You mistake numbness for strength. You call your silence wisdom. But every echo inside the fortress is your own heartbeat, begging to be heard. His tone grows colder, like frost crawling across the glass. Every fortress becomes a prison, he whispers, if you stay too long. You walk through a corridor lit by trembling candles, their flames bending toward you as if drawn by recognition. The air smells of wax and deceit. Along the walls hang masks, hundreds of them, smiling, frowning, weeping, scheming. This is the Machiavellian hall, the kingdom of performance. Every face here once belonged to someone who learned that truth is useless without power. The Archivist follows beside you, voice low, almost seductive. Here, he murmurs, emotions are not felt, they are forged. Love becomes leverage. Compassion, camouflage. Every kindness hides a blade. You pass faces that once ruled empires, faces that smiled as they betrayed, faces that cried only when watched. The light flickers, and each mask seems to breathe, eager to be chosen. He stops before one that mirrors your own. Manipulation, he says, is simply emotion weaponized. You lift the mask. It's cold, heavier than it should be, and for a moment you feel the thrill of control. Every lie tastes like victory, every silence like dominance. The darkness is beautiful here because it listens. Then the narrator laughs softly, almost kindly, and the sound freezes your spine. But every mask must be worn by someone, he whispers. What happens when it fuses to your face? You thought you'd outgrown the storm, whether by silence or by conquest. The Stoic finds peace in stillness, the Machiavellian in control. Both look upon the chaos and whisper, I have mastered it. But mastery, the Archivist says, is the most exquisite illusion ever crafted by fear. He shows you the truth beneath the calm and the crown. The Stoic hides from pain by pretending it cannot touch him. The Machiavellian hides from weakness by pretending it does not exist. Yet both are still bound, chained to the terror of losing what they built. Detachment is just fear dressed as virtue. Dominance, fear disguised as strategy. You see it now, the trembling hands beneath the armor, the quiet panic behind every perfect mask. The storm never left them. They simply learned to cage it, and in doing so became its servants. The Archivist steps closer, his voice neither cruel nor kind. You can command armies, he whispers, or command your breath, but either way, you are still obeying something. His voice softens, the weight of judgment replaced by something colder, understanding. Decay, he murmurs, never begins with blood. It begins with silence. You see it, the small, almost invisible betrayals that grow like mold between ideals. The Stoic looks away from injustice, whispering that peace must not be disturbed. The Machiavellian acts in its name, staining his hands so the world may stay still. Both claim purity. Both begin to rot. The air thickens with guilt, though no one dares to name it. You smell the quiet corruption, not the stench of death, but of comfort, the kind that whispers you are right to do nothing. Philosophy becomes perfume for decay. Their logic becomes the cage that feeds the worms. The Archivist closes his eyes, almost in prayer. Every empire, he says, first crumbles in the conscience. You feel the truth settle deep, sour and permanent. Then he opens them again, gaze sharp as ruin. Rot smells the same, he breathes, no matter how noble the reason. The Archivist's tone deepens, echoing through the hollow corridors of history. Rome, he says, was built on virtue and buried by it. You see Marcus Aurelius cloaked in twilight, meditating beside a field of corpses. His calm face glows in the dying light, yet the air around him reeks of rot. Wisdom cannot mask the stench of war. Stoicism kept his soul steady but never clean. Then centuries later, Florence. A dim room. Machiavelli, exiled and broken, writes by candlelight. Ink and bitterness bleed together. He crafts blueprints for men who will never thank him, for princes who will smile while sharpening knives. His brilliance is a crown of thorns, pressed deeper with every word. The Archivist walks between their ghosts, trailing his fingers through the dust of fallen empires. Reason builds, he whispers, and cunning preserves, but both drink from the same wound. You watch the light fade from marble and parchment alike, the brilliance dimmed by solitude. He turns to you, eyes heavy with pity and truth. You admire their wisdom, he murmurs, yet you forget their loneliness. The Archivist's voice turns clinical, dissecting the mind with the precision of a surgeon. Control, he begins, is not taken, it is believed. Power lives in perception, not in the hands that hold it. You see how fear and admiration mirror each other. Both are chains, polished differently. The Machiavellian tightens them with illusion, weaving masks so perfect that even he forgets which is real. The Stoic, meanwhile, commands by absence, withdrawing so deeply that reverence replaces intimacy. Both build distance, one through deceit, the other through detachment. But distance is hunger disguised as safety. They no longer see faces, only roles. No longer hear voices, only obedience. The world bends to them, yet their hearts shrink in return. The Archivist lays bare the anatomy of their mastery. Strings tied to hearts, smiles stitched with fear, silence mistaken for respect. You realize control is not strength. It's isolation polished into art. His words slow, colder now, almost mournful. When you pull strings long enough, he whispers, you stop hearing the cries at the other end. The Archivist's voice falters, heavy with mourning. This, he says, is where the soul begins to die. You see it now, the slow, imperceptible decay that power demands. The Stoic, in his pursuit of peace, becomes stone. His calm no longer shelters him. It entombs him. The Machiavellian, in his pursuit of dominance, becomes ice. Every victory freezes him further from the warmth of the world he sought to rule. Empathy, once a quiet pulse beneath their logic, fades into stillness. No heartbeat, no tremor of understanding, only function, order, control. The air around them turns sterile. No laughter, no grief, only efficiency. Their greatness is measured in distance, their legacy in absence. You feel the emptiness they created, a silence so vast it devours even triumph. The Archivist lowers his gaze, not in judgment but in grief. Power without feeling is not power. It is taxidermy, life preserved but never lived. His voice breaks into a whisper, almost human. In their silence and schemes, he says, both forgot the one thing that makes power worth having, connection. You return to where it all began, the mirror. But it no longer greets you with familiarity. The light that once shimmered gently now quivers with unease, revealing something grotesque in its depth. The reflection staring back is neither Stoic nor Machiavellian. It is both, half saint, half tyrant. One eye calm as marble, the other burning with hunger. A perfect symmetry of contradiction. The Archivist stands behind you, silent. You study the reflection, smile, measured, patient, merciless. Its lips move with your thoughts, whispering virtues to justify cruelty, serenity to excuse apathy. You realize what you've built, balance without heart, peace without pulse. The ideal of control has become something inhuman, efficient, logical, and utterly empty. The air vibrates with quiet horror. The glass seems to breathe, fogging with your doubt. For a moment, you reach out, hoping to touch yourself, nor what's left of you. But the reflection leans first, whispering something you can't yet understand. The Archivist's voice is a fading echo in the dark. This, he murmurs, is what balance without heart becomes. The mirror begins to whisper. The descent begins. The whispers multiply until they form a choir inside your skull. Their tone is gentle, almost loving. I did it for peace. I did it to protect them. I did it for the greater good. Each phrase hums like a lullaby, soothing, familiar, poisonous. You realize these are not strangers' voices. They are your own, rehearsed over centuries of denial. The Archivist's silhouette flickers in the dim light. This, he says softly, is the lullaby of tyrants. It is how cruelty learns to sound righteous, how blood becomes duty, and silence becomes virtue. You feel it spreading through your veins, that quiet justification that smells like safety and sounds like truth. Your reflection nods with you now, its smile widening. Every excuse feels easier than guilt, every rationalization smoother than remorse. You don't notice the rot anymore. It has become the air you breathe. The Archivist steps closer, his voice sharp as history. Remember, he warns, every empire begins as a reason. Power always pretends to be eternal. It stands tall, unmoving, rehearsed, a monument carved from certainty. But beneath its marble skin lies a tremor, a secret stage light flickering behind the curtain. The Archivist's tone sharpens as he traces the pattern across history. Every ruler thought their control unshakable until it cracked under its own perfection. He shows you the Stoic emperors who whispered reason as their empires burned, convincing themselves that serenity could hold back fire. He shows the cunning princes who danced their pawns across the board only to be swallowed by the very games they mastered. In their pursuit of order, they forgot that order is fragile, a glass mask worn over chaos. You can hear it now, that faint sound beneath every throne, the pulse of panic, the heartbeat of collapse. The illusion was never built to last. The Archivist's eyes gleam like dying stars. His voice, neither cruel nor kind, seals the truth in silence. Control is not strength, he says. It is denial with a crown. The Archivist's voice fades until it sounds like your own. The mirror no longer shows power or philosophy, only absence. You see the places where pieces of you once lived, the laughter you buried to appear composed, the tenderness you strangled to seem unbreakable. Every act of mastery demanded a sacrifice, and you offered yourself, slice by slice, until nothing human remained. He steps closer, his shadow merging with yours. To rule others, he whispers, you first learned to rule yourself. But to rule yourself, you had to kill what made you alive. The words sting because they're true. You feel it. The emptiness disguised as triumph, the throne carved from your own silence, the reflection smiles faintly, hollow and eternal. Power achieved, humanity erased. The Archivist's tone softens, almost pitying now. You wanted power, he murmurs, and now there's no one left to enjoy it. The room feels vast and airless, your pulse echoing against its walls. You can silence the world, he says, voice fading into the void, but not the echo of your own absence. It begins with a sound, faint, trembling, the first crack in the mask. Then the walls groan, the fortress shudders, and everything you built to contain the storm begins to crumble. The silence you once worshipped splits open, releasing screams you thought long buried. The Stoic in you breaks first, feeling everything at once. The grief, the guilt, the unbearable rush of being alive again. Then comes the Machiavellian, standing among the ruins of his own making. He sees the empire of lies collapsing, the pawns scattering, the mirror shattering under its own deceit. Power dissolves into dust, and in that dust he sees faces, the ones he silenced, the ones he used. Their eyes glow faintly, not in anger but recognition. The air is alive with ruin and release. You fall to your knees, choking on the truth that control was never strength. It was fear, sculpted beautifully. The fortress is gone. The mask lies shattered. And for the first time, you breathe without armor. The Archivist steps closer, voice heavy with mercy and revelation. Now that you've lost everything, he asks, can you finally see? In the ruins, silence returns, not as punishment but as invitation. Smoke drifts through the broken halls of your mind, carrying whispers of what once was. Ambition, pride, control. All the grand words you lived by now sound small against the vast emptiness left behind. The Archivist's voice is softer now. What is power, he asks, if it costs your soul? You think of the Stoic, serene but hollow, mistaking numbness for peace. You think of the Machiavellian, clever but cursed, mistaking control for victory. Both reached the summit and both found it barren, because neither dared to feel. Neither allowed the trembling truth of vulnerability to exist. The rubble around you isn't failure, it's proof. Proof that to master life, you must let it touch you. Pain, loss, love, all of it. That's where the meaning hides. The Archivist turns away, his final words carried by the wind. Real power begins where fear ends. The wind stills, the dust settles, and from the ruin a faint light flickers, hesitant but real. The Archivist turns to you, his voice no longer heavy with judgment. There is a third path, he says, not the Stoic's denial, nor the Machiavellian's deception, but awareness. You begin to see it. Power without cruelty, calm without indifference, a balance not built on suppression, but understanding. To see the shadow without becoming it, to feel the storm without drowning in it. The powerful man is not the one who controls or withdraws. He observes. He listens to his fear and his hunger, and instead of obeying them, he learns from them. This is integration, where strength no longer hides from softness, and wisdom no longer fears passion. You lift your gaze, the mirror no longer distorts. It reflects the whole, flawed, radiant, human, and the Archivist whispers almost to himself, light after centuries of shadow. The voice that once thundered now trembles with gentleness. The archivist speaks as though every word costs him a memory. Wisdom, he says, is not light, it is weight. The more you understand, the harder it is to move. You feel it too, the quiet gravity of awareness. It doesn't roar like ambition, it hums like morning. You begin to realize that to see the truth is to lose the comfort of ignorance forever. Power once felt like fire in your veins. Now it feels like ash, warm but fleeting. Understanding brings peace, but it also brings distance. You no longer wish to rule or to retreat. You only wish to be. The narrator pauses, and for the first time, you sense compassion in his silence. He whispers, "The wise carry their thrones as coffins, not of death, but of desire." And as the light dims once more, his final words echo softly, "Power ends where acceptance begins." You stand before the mirror one last time. The air is still, no whispers, no shadows, only the faint echo of everything you've seen. The reflection no longer shifts, no stoic calm, no Machiavellian smirk, just you, stripped of every disguise, every borrowed philosophy. The eyes that stare back aren't powerful or broken, they're simply awake. The narrator's voice is softer now, almost human. You have seen both monsters. The one who felt nothing, the one who used everything, and yet neither could escape the truth. Power without self is only performance. You lean closer. The glass does not distort. For the first time, it doesn't judge, it reflects. You realize that the battle was never between philosophies, but within you, between control and compassion, will and wisdom. The mirror exhales, releasing you from its hold. And as the screen fades to black, a final whisper remains. You have seen both monsters. Now choose the man. The voice trembles now, not with fear but with remembrance. The archivist steps out from the dark at last, his lantern flickering low. "I was not always a watcher," he murmurs. "Once I believed I could master the storm, first through virtue, then through deceit. I was the Stoic who felt nothing, and the Machiavellian who felt too much." His tone softens, breaking like glass under its own weight. "I built peace on silence. I built empires on lies. Both collapsed, and beneath the rubble I found myself, hollow, whispering wisdom I no longer believed." He looks at you now, not as a guide, but as a ghost confiding his sin. Power will ask for everything, and you will give it, smiling. That is how it wins. The candlelight dims. His face dissolves into shadow. Only a faint, rhythmic sound remains, a heartbeat slowing, then fading, until even memory falls quiet. The air stills. The archivist is gone, but his voice lingers like smoke. Nothing moves now, only the echo of what has been learned. "In the end," he whispers from somewhere beyond the veil, "the Stoic and the Machiavellian stand side by side, two graves beneath one crown. Images flicker across the dark, a fortress swallowed by vines, a mask lying cracked in dust, a throne dissolving into ash. Power, silence, and time, all indistinguishable at last. You feel it, the weight of wisdom pressing against your chest, soft but endless. It isn't fear anymore, it's understanding. The world grows dim, sound slipping away until there's nothing left but the faint hum of existence. Then one last whisper, tender and final. "Power does not make you free." "Choice does," a long pause. "Then black, choose wisely.